Hi everybody, this is Barry Schwartz from the Search Engine Roundtable. This is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, October 16th. We have a lot to cover, so stay tuned and we'll get right into the topics. The big non-news this week, which is being discussed a lot by people out there, was that Google has removed the PageRank data from the Webmaster Tools section. So if you go to log into Google Webmaster Tools, you go to the statistics area, go to crawl stats. It used to show your highest PageRank pages and your PageRank distribution on a general level. In that area, Google has removed that because they felt it was silly or hypocritical that they would tell people not to obsess or worry about PageRank, but yet show it in Google Webmaster Tools. If that's the case, why do they show it in the Google toolbar, which more people have on a day-to-day basis? So I go through this in detail and get upset about how Google, obviously the PageRank data is very, especially Webmaster Tools, is not very helpful. PageRank data in general, the toolbar, is also very not helpful because it's very, very outdated. A lot of people have done studies that show that PageRank does not correlate to how well a page ranks. But yet, it's one of the most talked about topics in the SEO community about in terms of SEO, stuff like that. And Google specifically doesn't want people to talk about it, but yet they keep holding back and not removing it from the Google toolbar because it's really a marketing thing for them. Back in 2007, Adam Lasnik, back then, who was known as Mini-Matt for Backcuts as a Psychic, wrote a thread and asking people in Webmaster World if people want to remove the Google PageRank from the toolbar, and it just died then. So we're hoping that Google will eventually remove it from the toolbar. It seems unlikely, but you never know. Google surprises me every day. Last week we reported that Yahoo was the last major search engine to officially drop the keywords meta tag. That was wrong. As I said last week in my video, also in my blog post, Chris, Yahoo's director of search, made this announcement matter-of-factly in a Q&A session over at XMX East last week. The thing is, he was wrong. He said basically they don't use it at all. Yahoo does not use the meta keywords tag at all. That is not true. A lot of people did tests and it showed to be there. And then Yahoo sent Danny a statement after this news came out that the Yahoo rep was wrong, that they do use it. They lowered it's basically not used much. The only way it would be used is if there's no other ranking signals present on a specific web page. So examples of a very specific word or a very specific set of letters put together, that's when it would be used. So they're still using the meta keywords tag. They have more details about it on October 6th. If you want more information, seroundtable.com. Other major news in the search space from Yahoo was that they're dropping their paid inclusion. Yahoo allowed search marketers and SEOs to pay to be included into the Yahoo search index. They said it didn't affect rankings, but it guaranteed inclusion. Yahoo is now dropping that. There were rumors about it earlier this week. People were getting phone calls from the Yahoo reps saying this is being dropped at the end of the year. Danny Sullivan was on a panel yesterday where a Yahoo rep confirmed this, and then Yahoo sent a statement over confirming this as well. In short, paid inclusion is a way for, again, to be included in the Yahoo search index. It was a bit hypocritical, and to pay to be included in a free, unbiased search engine, even though the rankings did not change. There was a very, very controversial topic in the SEO industry. A lot of confusion over it and stuff like that. But it's official. As of, I think, December 31st, at the end of this year, Yahoo will totally discontinue it. So if you are using it, definitely want to talk to your rep and see what consequences are. Earlier this week, we reported that over the weekend, Microsoft Bing's Webmaster tools just didn't work. You logged in and it basically showed an error saying that there was an unexpected error, and the Microsoft's Webmaster Tools team has been notified and they'll fix it as soon as possible. Please try back in a few minutes, they said. This was first reported Sunday morning, and Microsoft didn't chime in until I think it was Tuesday morning saying we're aware of the issue, we're going to fix it ASAP. And then on October 13th, or 14th, the 14th, which was this past, I think Wednesday afternoon, Microsoft finally fixed the issue. So it took them about three and a half days to fix, which is a pretty long time for a Webmaster Tools. I don't think that would ever, if you cannot access all of Webmaster Tools at Google, I'm sure Google will fix it faster. Obviously, there's certain features of Webmaster Tools that didn't work. It might take longer. But to not allow you to use any of Webmaster tools over a 3+ day period is pretty extensive downtime for anything, in my opinion. This week, Google announced for their Webmaster Tools a new Labs section. It's basically Google's way of releasing features for Google Webmaster Tools that are not fully tested, but yet can be used by webmasters. The first two features in the Labs was Fetch as Googlebot and Malware Details. Fetch as Googlebot basically shows you, you type in a URL on your verified domain, either the homepage or the specific URL, and Google will go ahead and send, in almost real time, a Googlebot spider to that page, fetch back exactly what Googlebot would see, up to 100 kilobytes right now. Googlebot typically crawls more than 100 kilobytes, but in this Webmaster Tools it only does up to 100 kilobytes currently. Why is this better? Well, it shows you not just the view page source, but it also shows you the header information, shows you how Googlebot will actually crawl. It actually shows you what Googlebot sees as opposed to what you see in your browser, which is different if you view the source in your browser. It could be different from what you see in the view source on your browser, because obviously somebody could be cloaking or something like that could be going on. It could be hidden links that are cloaked, so if you are worried about people hacking into your site and cloaking hidden links, you can actually use this feature to see what Googlebot sees and see if you have any problems with your webpage. In addition, they released something called Malware Details, which actually show you more details about if you have malware on your site. It shows you where it's found, what the actual code is on your site. It gives you a little more detail on how to remove this malware, which is a major issue for a lot of different webmasters out there. So again, Fetch as Googlebot, which helps you find hidden links and shows you what Googlebot sees, with including the header information, and Malware Details, which basically shows you what the actual code is that is being injected onto your site and what the different file paths and details are for those malware issues. Today I reported that over a Webmaster World thread, seems that people are suggesting that Google Suggest or Google search suggestions are now using abbreviations. So if you type in, for example, GLGLE instead of Google, Google will figure out that you either have fat fingers or you made a typo or you're trying to abbreviate the word Google. Then it will suggest Google. If you type in AHU, it would figure out, hey, you're trying to write Yahoo, and here are search suggestions for Yahoo. Obviously, if this is the case and Google's doing something new with abbreviations, SEO should take notice. Obviously, a lot of them are already, but if you haven't, then you should definitely take notice. And hopefully, this will go into your SEO game. Again, October 16th, SERoundtable.com. We have links to all the details about that. So about a year ago, Google Maps dropped their previous provider, I think it was Navtech, I'm not sure exactly, for TeleAtlas. TeleAtlas had lots of problems in that people complained that they were not as detailed in the US as they were in the UK or in Europe. So Google ultimately switched this past week for most areas in the US to their own data provider, which is their own stuff. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I think it's a mix of stuff, but they're using their own supposedly data. They announced this change in the forums, and Mike Blumenfeld actually wrote a whole long post about this as well. You can actually see this if you go to Google Maps, go anywhere in the US, you'll see a little copy right at the bottom right. So this also came with a way to now report new streets, issues with driving directions directly to Google as opposed to TeleAtlas. So at the bottom of pretty much all the map results, there's a reported problem link. You just click there, and it'll take you through a step-by-step process in order to how to improve Google Maps. Obviously, you can still use My Maps and add your own street data and stuff like that, and Google will take that into account. But report a problem at the bottom of the right of every single map will now show you a way to actually report problems with address problems, local business listings, driving directions, and so on. Since we're on the topic of Google Maps, also, if you do a search for now anything that drives a local search box in the Google Web Search results, universal search results, you'll now see instead of the 10 pack, which shows 10 local results from Google Maps, Google will now show up to 7. So there's a major change. You're now showing 3 less Google local business listings or Google local results in the search results. We have before and after pictures and how this affects, I guess, the local search SEM community and space. On October 12th, we have a post about this. Yesterday afternoon, I received an email from what appeared to be Google Adsense saying that my account has been banned. It's not true. It seems suspicious. I looked into it, and the from-to address, although it was Google, it was actually being sent from a non-Google server. There was a file that was attached to that email, which was actually an HTML file that would technically redirect you to a phishing site, which asked I didn't go to the phishing site, but I assumed it asked for your information to actually capture your information. And I have all this documented at SERoundtable.com, all the little details within the source code of the HTML file, the actual email. This went out again around yesterday afternoon, early afternoon. And I have a post about it on October 16th with more details. Just be aware, there is a AdSense phishing scam going around that says your account has been disabled. Be careful. Just, delete it. The only best way to tell if your account has been disabled is to see if your ads are running on your websites. And if they're not running, definitely log into the Google AdSense console and look for more information there. This morning, I also reported that a lot of people who use AVG free virus and malware detection software on their PCs have noticed that if they do a search in Google, sometimes AVG will show a danger threat to their security. So AVG pops up this threat saying your search result, or not really a search result, the content on that page might have a threat to your computer. Specifically, it seems to be coming up when a YouTube or video result would be shown in the Google web search results. So maybe Google has an issue with YouTube, maybe AVG has an issue with YouTube, or an issue with one of the video sites that are displaying in the Google search results. Hopefully, AVG will fix this soon. We have more details today, October 16th, at SERoundtable.com. Something funny we spotted in the forum threads. Colin noticed that when you do a search for Google Ireland in Google, up comes Google New Zealand in the search results. So when you're searching for Google Ireland, you want to see google.ie. What comes up is google.co.nz, which is Google New Zealand's webpage. This also happens when you search for Google Egypt and different various Googles. Up comes different properties. Google has finally been made aware of this, and they haven't fixed it yet, but they promise they will, and they're looking into the issue. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's pretty funny. If you want to look at pictures of this, October 15th at SERoundtable.com. Last night, Google released their earnings. In summary, they were very good earnings. They were up 7% year over year of Q3 in revenues. They earned $5.94 billion in revenue with operating income of $2.07 billion, 35% of revenues. Pretty nice. 2 main points for SEOs that I pulled out. Cost per click went down 6% year over year, so people are paying less per click. Advertisers are paying less per click compared to last year, but the actual number of clicks went up 14%. So searchers are actually clicking more often on ads, meaning they're staying home. In pre-trading this morning, Google's stock is up about 3%. So that's good to hear. We have more details about this October 16th at SERoundtable.com. In Forbes this week, there was an article about a woman who lost her unemployment benefits from the state of New York because she earned an AdSense check of about $1 and change per day. She got a total of around $200 or so, or maybe $100 or so, but she lost her $405 per week unemployment check from New York State because she was considered self-employed. So now she can't pay her rent, she can't do anything. So there's a lot of discussion about how this check of $238 that Google issued this woman, and the New York State Department of Labor said this qualifies her as self-employed, and they're no longer going to give her unemployment checks. So there's a lot of controversy over this. There's a Forbes article. If you want to read about this, October 12th, a lot of people think this is ridiculous. I agree. Hopefully the Department of Labor in New York State will go ahead and reverse this decision. Finally, I spotted this thread over at Google Webmaster Central Help where a website named ClarksburgLeak.com, what they do is they basically track to see who in their local community, in their local town, was arrested and put in jail and taken a mugshot of. And what they do is they post this, their name, their height, their weight, the actual felony class on their website, make a landing page for every specific person's name, and ultimately their hope is that they rank number 1 or number 2 or number 3 for that person's name. What happens is they will remove your listing from their website if you pay them $50. There's a whole thing about this at the Webmaster Help thing. John Boo from Google said he doesn't think this is nice at all. There are some comments saying this might be some type of blackmail, and you might be able to sue over this. I'm not exactly sure if that's true. You have to find out from your local legal counsel. But ultimately, there's nothing Google would do to remove your result. What you can do is use reputation management solutions, which was actually just posted on the Google blog last night, this morning. So you might want to look at that. But ultimately, it might be easier to pay the $50 and not worry about it. You don't want people to know that you've been put to jail. So it's kind of not nice, but yeah, people do this. Obviously, this is an online reputation management issue, and hopefully you got yourself covered. Ultimately, try not to go to jail. Okay, that covers the news today. So thanks so much for listening to the Search Buzz video recap. Again, this is the news for the past week over at the Search Roundtable, seroundtable.com. Today again is October 16th, Friday. Everyone have a great week, and we'll tune in next week.